Just want to give a couple moments of reflection on gratitude. The scriptures say, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God." Growing up, I wondered about that, because I read it wrong. I was reading that must mean whatever happens is the will of God. But then I realized as an adult, it doesn't say "for everything give thanks." It says "in everything give thanks." For the will of God, the highest good, is that we have an attitude of gratitude, that we recognize blessings for they come, that we are healthier spiritually and emotionally and in every way when we're practicing gratitude. We know that fear and anger can be dangerous to our souls, but gratitude is good for us. Now, there are always reasons not to be grateful, right? There are always reasons not to be grateful. So let me ask you a question. Is it easier for you to name the things that aren't going well, or to name the things that are going well? You don't have to answer out loud. It's all right. When you watch 30 minutes of the news or check CNN website, do you just think, golly, things are going well? Depending on your temperament, state of mind, current situation, there are times that it's not easy to be grateful. Well, the spiritual master Buddha knew that, so he had a very practical kind of way of approaching gratitude. He said this: "Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we didn't learn a lot today, at least we learned a little. And if we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful." I call this the pessimist prayer of gratitude. But hey, on some days, it's a start. On some days, it's a start. And we've all had days like that. In fact, we've all had seasons like that, haven't we? I loved what Angela said about gratitude as resistance. Culturally, there's a lot to resist, because it's very easy to be held captive by dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction in a lot of things. I mean, that's what advertising is targeting as, right? Dissatisfaction. You need something else to make you feel better. In this age of division and acrimony, perhaps Angela's right. Perhaps gratitude is the greatest resistance to that. Maybe gratitude undoes it by tunneling under the foundation of anger and resentment and greed and disillusionment, and ferrets out that which is good and right and just in the world. Perhaps it untwists our knotted hearts, and it reminds us of who we are. Because in being grateful, we become alive. I mean, think what fear and anger can do to us. It usually closes in on us. What does gratitude do? Opens us every time. Gratitude has a way of making all things new. It's not a panacea. It doesn't fix everything. And sometimes life is just plain hard. But gratitude invalidates the false narrative that life is a sum total of what is happening to us at that moment. I know that often those of you that have been part of the community for a while, I know that you will often hear me refer to my days at my former church during the 90s. during kind of some of the worst of the AIDS years. And I go back to that time and that reference because that was the crucible and where I formed my most deeply held spiritual values. Being in South Africa and then being in the Castro during the height of some of the AIDS years formed me. And I go back to that in my memory because I ask myself, how did I maintain who I was in those years? How did I lead spiritually week after week after week? How did I do that? And not in a way that is like, wow, didn't I do a great job? Not at all. Returning to it because now when littler things come my way, it seems, they seem to knock me over more easily than when those tsunamis hit me. So what was it that I was practicing then? And part of it was gratitude. Gratitude that what was happening in that moment wasn't the end of the story. Gratitude that people dropping around me and dying around me, young men dying around me. Families rejecting them, not even showing up at their memorials. What kept us going? Community and the gratitude for life itself. Sometimes in the midst of death, in the midst of what feels like despair, there are times when those spaces and those places bring to us the fullness of life. And from that gratitude, from that abundance, we live, we thrive even. I don't want to return to those days, but I'll tell you what, there are moments when I wish that more days than I do, I felt the sense of aliveness that I felt then. Because I was grateful for life. And I was grateful for, in the midst of despair, creativity and beauty and resilience and connection and relationships and humor. Deeply grateful. And so whatever's going on in your life or in mine, those days when it might feel the hardest to be grateful, what if we choose gratitude? What if we choose beauty? What if we choose a new beginning, a new story, and refuse the false narrative that what is going on in this moment is all there is or is the end of the story? That's what gratitude does. It gives us a new start, a new beginning, a new moment. Gratitude is transformational because it moves us from the me to the we. Not transactional, not quid pro quo. It moves us from the me to the we. From the selfie to the unselfie, let's say it that way. Robert Emmons, in his book, The Little Book of Gratitude, says there's an arc of gratitude, A-R-C. Gratitude amplifies goodness, it rescues us from negative emotions, and it connects us to others in a meaningful way. It amplifies goodness, doesn't it? It rescues us from negative emotions. Wow. There are moments I need to be rescued. And it connects us to others in meaningful ways. So I hope today, as you've heard people share, that you've seen goodness amplified. as you've heard what people had to say, or just being here, singing these well-known Thanksgiving hymns that we pull out every year, that there's a moment today that if you came in with negative emotions, it has helped rescue you from those. And I hope that by sharing gratitudes, that you've had a moment where you felt connected to those around you, to those you love, and those you are trying to love. So Advent comes up next week. Maybe make it a practice, your Advent practice, to share gratitude each day, and especially on the days you don't feel like it. Amen.